Who am I? My name is Guido Giacomo Gattari. I studied philosophy for many years. I've been teaching at university in Florence, speaking out at many conferences. You can YouTube me and you will find conferences in South Korea, Vietnam and stuff. I've been doing the philosopher for life. So I'm 40 and I've been doing something. But I'm not going to speak. You're going to speak tonight. I will say exactly nothing. I will just give you some rules to be able to not speak on other people. Like I'm speaking now, so maybe another person will not speak on my voice. That's the only thing I'm going to do. We're going to choose one topic, very simple, all together. Everybody can propose, everybody can vote. And when we decided this topic, we will be discussing this topic. So basically me, I'm the only one that is not speaking or playing the game. Everybody else is going to do it. I'm just here to be sure that everybody will be able to speak. That's the only thing I'm going to do. I'm a philosophical practitioner, so what do? I consult people basically, but philosophical practice can even be for groups. So in the end, if you want to try my method, you're going to have a discount with that. I will give you a business card and you can have a discount and try the method. And tonight we have a very good news. Actually, Matt is not here, and maybe you will arrive. But Matt has been translating my book. So for the first time, today is the first day that you can read one of my books, not in Italian but in English. So, and yes, my English is very bad, but Matt is from London, so you can trust him. And that's it. You can find it on Amazon, like starting from 2 hours ago. So it's just that. And what are we going to do now is very easy. We're going to do something difficult. We have to shut up while other people speak. And sometimes it's going to be difficult because we are used to speak a lot and not to listen a lot as people usually. I mean, I'm the first. It's very difficult to listen to people. And now, everybody has a piece of paper and a pen. Welcome.
Thank you.
And okay, so we're going to present ourselves just briefly. Name, surname. If you want surname, if you want to be anonymous, you don't have to use surname. I mean, just a name, nationality, and so we go. I am Guido, and yes, let's say Italian.
I am Nefisa. I come from Turkey.
I'm Philip, I'm from Poland.
I'm Michaela and I'm from Ecuador.
Tomek Schweikos, I'm from Canada.
From? Thank you.
Nathan from the US.
Thank you.
Ron from India.
Andrea from the United States.
Matt from England.
Mike, also from England.
Kasia from Poland.
I'm Maria from Poland. I'm
From Poland, yes? Ukraine.
Peter from Portugal.
Dorota from Poland. Agnes from Poland.
Arthur from Ukraine.
Alexandra from Spain.
Thank you. I will forget everything. Oh, Victor. Hi. And that's Victor. Thank you for joining. So, first thing, everybody can propose a topic. You raise your hand and you propose a topic. How do you have to propose a topic? Just two simple rules. First rule, one topic must be like simple. I mean, you cannot make that big sentence because we have to vote for it, so it must be clear. So for example, love can be a topic, maybe too wide, but love in modern times can be already a little bit better as a topic because it's narrow enough. And how do we have to manage love when we are betrayed by the person that we loved for 10 years, not 11, not 9, but exactly 10 years? That's not a topic because it's very specific and maybe someone of us has no experience to discuss about it. And another thing, if you're very skilled and if you already studied philosophy, please don't use names, because I can say, what do you think about Wittgenstein theory of existence, but maybe someone of you doesn't know Wittgenstein. So please don't use specific names, just general topics. Or you can do all of those things actually, but if you use a big sentence, I will ask you to just narrow it, to shrink it in a smaller one that everybody can afterward remember and vote. And if you use names like Wittgenstein or Quine or no matter the name you want to, specific name of a philosopher or thinker, I will just ask you to explain the theory that this thinker had and that interests you that much, okay? So, of course, you will be able to explain and so on. So, let's go with the cycles, with the proposals. Raise your hands and please propose what you want to propose. And everybody will be able to vote your propositions. Oh, we have two, so ladies first.
Am I explaining why or just saying the topic?
Well, it must make sense to you. It must be something that you really would like to discuss. That's the only thing.
Okay. I want to discuss blood is thicker than water, which means that family ties are more significant than other relationships.
Nepotism.
Should I say why or that's enough?
And then we had Mike.
Yeah. Sorry, I just like your topic. Love in modern times. I thought it was a good topic.
Okay, love in modern times. Yes. Can you please tell us name and nationality?
My name is Daniel. I come from Spain.
Hi, Daniel.
For example, one subject could be transhumanism.
Transhumanism.
Yeah. In general.
Okay, everybody knows what's transhumanism.
No.
Raise your hands
No.
if you don't know. Okay, just being brief, transhumanism is the idea that humans can evolve into machine bodies. That's the base. Of course, it's not that simple, but just to give you an idea, and then if we discuss, we can go deeper. And other topics.
Cars are evil in the age of the bicycle.
Cars are evil in age of bicycles.
No, it's
Sorry?
I just, sorry.
And your name was again?
Nathan.
Nathan. And that's Jan from Germany that will grab a chair and join. Try to join. Jan, you can try to join there maybe, because there is a small space. And you're young enough to sneak inside.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know, because actually up there I think it is huge. Other topics?
Is happiness a chemical reaction or something more?
Is happiness?
A chemical reaction or something more?
Your name once again?
Dominance.
Dominic. Thank you, Dominic.
I have done about controlling emotions. Like if we can control them, we cannot control them, emotions controlling us, stuff like that. Emotion control.
Emotion control.
Yeah.
Paula. We already... Dorota?
No, I was just.
Ah, okay. Here we are. What are you saying? Mike, what are you saying? What are you saying? That's why we have to listen. No problem. Please, no problem. I'm not trying to, just really, to stay in the game, you better listen, because otherwise, if you have a vote, you don't know what to vote for. Once again.
Is a meaningful life more important than happiness, both for the individual and
Is meaningful life more important?
than the happiness?
than happiness. Very specific. Can you please remember your name? Valentin. You got them. Something else?
I would like to talk about destiny and free will.
Okay, guys, this is not for me. Thank you. We are very PhD, so.
Okay, yes, there is one place more. Yes. There is one more free place if you want to join. Victor, please come. So, who was about to propose a topic? Yeah.
So, destiny or fate and free will. Can we have, if there is a destiny, we have free will?
And your name, what's your name? Malek.
Malek.
Malek. Thank you, Malek. Yeah, thank you, Mike.
You're allowed to propose to. Is it okay to propose to?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
As long as nobody raises their hand, but actually there is no limit. Everybody can propose as much topic as he wants.
Is patriotism a false thing? Is patriotism a good thing? Or is being patriotic a good thing?
Is patriotism?
Did you say patriotism?
Patriotism, yeah.
Good topic, Mike. Thank you.
It's a coincidence that I thought about something similar. It's like a construction of nation states. The construction of nation states.
The construction of?
Nation states. Nation states.
Okay, the construction of nation states. Thank you. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Usually we stop at 10, but today we are many, so if you have other ideas, just pop up. You're new? Guys, please try to find the place. Tu veux un espace là, sinon là. Yeah, actually you can even maybe sit in front of Jan, maybe. Because from here it's going to be a little bit complicated, for example, if you want to grab the drink or something. Okay. And that's Vincent. Yeah, because you skipped the presentation just now. And so, other topics to propose before to go on? Next phase will be the debate about the topics before to vote. Propose something, guys. Just think what I would like them to discuss about. You're propose yourself. Why not? I mean, I'm not proposing to anyone.
Okay, about the limits of free speech.
Limits of free speech. And that's Daniel, yes?
Yeah, Daniel, yes.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Topics, topics, topics. Oh, we have two. Ladies first.
Okay, is community ever more important than an individual?
Is community
Ever more important than an individual?
more important?
Is community
And we have another up there, yes?
Yeah, what do we think of conspiracy theories?
Your name once again? Your name?
Nathan.
Nathan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. So I think we have 12. We can start the debate a little bit. No problem. Now I'm going to name every single topic, and we have to find somebody that is going to defend this topic, like explaining why he would like to discuss this thing. And about that, we need somebody that is not the proposer to defend it. So for example, the first one is being proposed by Andrea. So somebody that is not Andrea has to propose. Like, I would like to discuss the same thing that Andrea said, because this and this and this, okay? And most of all, please don't say, I agree with, because that's not advocating, okay? You have to defend the reason why it would be interesting for all of us to discuss this topic, okay? So you have to underline the black and whites about this topic. Is blood thicker than the water? Somebody that is not Andrea.
Can you read them all first?
Is blood thicker than water?
No, I said, could we hear all of them first, or we have to do this?
You
One by one.
one by one, but it's not a big problem, because even if you want to defend more than one, you can defend more than one. So you're not going to vote now. Now it's just trying to explain why is that interesting. And of course, every single topic here is very interesting. So, yes, go with it. First one, is blood thicker than water?
I can take it.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan.
So, I think a lot about my family and sometimes how little I have in common with my family, and it can be frustrating for me. But I come back to my family my whole life. They're the people that I've known the longest, and there's some value in that to me. So I struggle with this. Should I reach out to my family, every month, every week? How important should those relationships be for me over the course of my life? So that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Nathan. Is love in modern times proposed by Mike?
Can you repeat?
Love in modern times.
You have to make a little statement now, like he.
You don't really have to make a statement. You have to explain to us. For example, you have to think, maybe that's interesting, and I think that this is interesting because this and this. That's simple.
Well, you have to announce to the group immediately.
Yes.
Why? Okay.
Yes. In this part of the method, we do that, and then we're going to vote. Because of course, if I'm asking Mike proposes the topic, so Mike is interested, but we have to find somebody else that is interested.
Okay, I can go for it.
Thank you.
So I find it interesting that societies, let's say, change because of the technological development, and for a lot of people, dating apps are a reality. I would say that this has significantly impacted the way that social groups mate or interact, or has impacted the behaviors.
Okay, thank you a lot. And now we have transhumanism. Somebody is interested in defending transhumanism. Not transhumanism itself, but as a topic. Because somebody can be even interested to discuss it because he thinks that it's horrible and he would like to fight against. I don't know, you decide. Or you can be in favor, of course. But we need somebody that is interested in discussing about it.
can defend that.
Thank you, Vincent.
I believe that it could be nice to talk about it because what is consumerism is not very well known. We don't all agree on the definition. We have all a bit the intuition that that's not very acceptable, but for some instances we are inclined to defend it. For example, if one proposes to have a health baby, I don't know, for some reason we will say, oh yes, that's acceptable, but crossing some line, we will say, oh no, that's not acceptable anymore, but defend. So I think that's okay, but what is exactly the line of it, where is acceptable line, and why would be interesting subject.
Thank you. And cars are evil in age of bicycles, proposed by Nehemiah. Who wants to discuss in favor or against bicycles?
I am in favor of cars and bicycles.
Okay, but you have to be in favor of the topic to defend the topic, not one or the other. But you have to defend the reason why.
But it's an interesting subject that we can discuss. I think.
So you want to defend?
I think it would be interesting to speak about.
Go for it.
About like bicycles and cars and all of this stuff in cities in general. Like, even if I am in favor of both, but I think we can discuss it.
Thank you, Daniel. Is happiness a chemical reaction or something more, proposed by Dominic?
Of course, we have to go for this subject.
Let's search for somebody else because you already defended the previous one, so if we have nobody else, you can defend even this one. But if we have another defender, it would be maybe better to change a little bit.
I can defend this one.
Go for it.
So I think it will be interesting to talk about this topic because we're on an age in time where we are beginning to understand more and more of chemicals and hormones do to our bodies and how we react to it. And now more than ever, there is more people that are taking pills to regulate their emotions. And it could be interesting to know whether we can change that emotion of happiness to get chemically, or if it's only something organic that has to arise from interactions between people or something that happens in your life.
Thank you a lot. And your name once again is?
Mika.
Mika. At one point I will remember about it, but it's going to be about the middle of the Philosophical Café, not before. And actually, this way I'm going to make it easier to everybody to see everybody because I was standing in the middle. I'm sorry. Is meaningful life more important than happiness? Proposed by Valentin. No, Valentin. I don't know how to pronounce. Is your name? Yes? Yeah, okay. Give me the pronunciation once again. Valentin. Valentino. Oh, Valentin. Okay. Thank you, Valentin. And so, is meaningful life more important than happiness?
I want to defend the topic. I think it's a very interesting topic and something that we should ask ourselves in critical moments, but also in general. Every time we take an action, if we're doing it like for something good, for a greater good, or for something meaningful, or we're doing it for happiness, and how should we judge the things we do or not judge? And I find it very interesting. Like, I think it can go to a lot of interesting topics.
Thank you, Ola. Destiny or fate? Do we have free will? Proposed by Malek. Okay, 1 minute per each. I don't want to.
Because I already did one.
But she did one too. So actually, just be brief, both of you, okay?
Okay, so I think this one is interesting because we have now entered an era where like areas like neuroscience and behavioral biology, for example, I should speak up? Yeah, okay. So we have now entered an era where areas like neuroscience or behavioral biology are developing very rapidly, and they pose very big questions about whether or not we have free will. And once those questions are posed, then they start having implications for morality and in the long run for jurisdiction, for example. So I think it's very important.
Thank you, Maria. And Daniel.
I think it's a very interesting subject because now, recently in the last years we are hearing a lot about that. Maybe free will is just an illusion, but I am very convinced that free will is a fact. And yeah, I think it would be interesting to speak about it.
Thank you, Daniel. Is patriotism a good topic proposed by Mike? Victor. That's Vincent, that's Victor, I'm sorry.
I want to defend it because I actually thought about a similar topic, which was PQ related. And because when we talk about patriotism, I think what exactly is it? And especially this topic is so important in this zeitgeist. So in this moment, during the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and from the Russian point of view, it's an act of patriotism, it's an act of self-defense. But they are bombing, the civilians in the soil of another sovereign country. And so, what exactly is this patriotism? And it's also related to the point that what is patriotism as a very late phenomenon, a late constructed ideology. How did it come into existence along with the construction of the nation states?
Thank you. And we have the construction of nation states proposed by Victor. Somebody else have to defend.
So I guess I have to then.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think Victor's. I think we could probably merge the topics potentially.
No matter which one will win, it's going to be a very similar discussion, probably. Yes.
I think like the idea of patriotism is something that seems to be inert, and in many times, I find a lot of cases like people unquestionable. Like if somebody's being patriotic, they usually see that as being a good thing, and I'm starting to wonder if it's one of the things that's causing the destruction that we have. So kind of similar to what Victor was saying about my topic. So maybe it's causing more harm than good potentially.
Thank you, Mike. And now we have to discuss limits of free speech proposed by Daniel. Andrea, and we have another hand up here.
No, I was pointing that.
Okay, Andrea. Okay. Perfect. No defendant.
I think it would be an interesting topic to discuss because, well, from the United States, there's a lot of free speech, but also the human condition, we know that works to affect people. So, to what limitations do we have free speech? Like some people would argue that you should be able to say whatever you think, because then by putting it all out there, then we can have a discussion about it. But then some people might say, bullying or racism, sexism, all the isms, and it can cause real harm to people even though it's words. So I think it's a fascinating topic because of its implications on the human condition.
This one is defended already, but you can defend the next one. For example, is community ever more, I'm not able to read in my own...
Important than an individual.
Thank you a lot.
No problem.
Proposed by Maria. You want to defend?
Yeah, I think it's a...
Go for it.
I think it's a very interesting topic. It's very psychological. And, a group psychology between the individuals. It's important because we look at the needs of the section of others, and for example, many of us are living within some kind of community, no matter it's a vegetarian community or religious community or whatsoever community, or some we do have some such things like a nice environment and a nice atmosphere in the working space, in the working team, and so on. And I think nowadays it's kind of the essence of our daily life, and so I think it's important.
Thank you, Victor. And now we're going to defend the last one. What do we think of conspiracy theories proposed by Nathan?
It's a very interesting subject. It's
Dan-
also related with free speech.
You want to defend? Okay.
So,
Now, I'm sorry for skipping you, but you already defended a couple, so
Yeah.
going with Dominic.
so as we know, we're in this technological era, and it's so easy to read and believe anything that we see that crosses our minds. We hear it, and immediately it's like spread like wildfire. When one person reads something online or hears it from the TV, they start talking to their friends, and everyone starts to like think, oh, maybe they're onto something here, you know. And then you ask other populations, other groups, and they don't agree with you. It's like, well, hold on here, there's a pattern going on. Literally just this last pandemic, there's just so many different conspiracies left, right, and center, and like, there's so much misinformation. Where's the line? How do we cross that barrier to unmask the truth?
Okay, thank you for defending. So, what we are going to do now, we are going to have like 10 minutes of pause. You can take a drink, and after that we vote and discuss. So that was just a little introduction, and after that it's going to be easy for everyone to discuss once again. Please keep your seats, because here is kind of a war of chairs. So yeah, okay. Yes, but I'm going to cut you off. Sorry, Maria.
There was you were.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes.
So you will be the star, and I'm
Thank you. Nobody's going to be the star, because for privacy reasons the video will be cut only on my face. So I'm sorry. Unless you sign down that you want to be in the video, you can make a paper and I will make you in the video.
We have to see the video first.
You know, the video is not very cutted because I don't have time for it. We are going to vote now. So thank you. I thought that basically almost everybody stayed. I thought that everybody was running away. I hoped that everybody was going to run away because we are too many. But by the way, thank you for being too many, because I'm very happy to see that you're that many people interested in discussing together. So, is blood thicker than the water? We're going to start voting, and the first time everybody can vote for every topic. You can vote even for every single topic. You can stay there from the beginning to the end of the vote. No problem. Then, if we have some topic that have the same number of votes, we're going to vote again. Okay? It's very simple. Please vote only for the topics that you really would like to discuss about, of course. Because if there is a topic like, yes, I agree, and this topic at the end wins, we have no discussion. We better have topics about which not everybody agrees. Okay? So please don't vote for the topics you agree with the first sentence, but vote for the topics you would like to discuss about. It's not exactly the same thing. Wszystko jasne? Everybody understands? C'est clair?
Can you vote for your own topic? Can you vote for your own?
Yes, you can totally, absolutely, no problem. Is blood thicker than water? Please vote. Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5. And love in modern times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Please, if I make some mistake counting, please tell me, okay? Because sometimes I heard people like, okay, but he was rigging the vote. I'm not rigging the vote, but sometimes I make mistakes, okay? So please, if you think that I'm making mistakes, you just speak out, okay? And I'm going to correct myself, of course. Transhumanism. Who wants to speak about transhumanism? 1, 2, 3, 4. Cars are evil in age of bicycles. Who wants to discuss about cars against bicycles? 1, 2, 3. Nathan, you're not voting for yourself. Okay, that's a very good sign of democracy, and thank you for being that Democrat. Is happiness a chemical reaction or something more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Emotion control. Who wants to discuss about emotion control? Control of emotions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Is meaningful life more important than happiness? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Destiny or fate? Do we have free will? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But are you voting for free will? Okay, easy joke. Is patriotism a good topic? Actually, yes. Is exactly the title of the topic. Is patriotism a good topic?
It's a good thing. A good thing.
Thing. Okay, thank you for.
Well, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17. No, 16. 16. The construction of the nation states. That is basically the same topic. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, once again. Is the construction of nation states. 4. It's funny because changing the way you propose the topic is 16 or 4. That's marketing. Limits of free speech. Who wants to discuss the limits of free speech? And that's 16, not 17. Once again, actually, please be sure, because limits of free speech, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? I think. Is there somebody that voted before and not now? You changed it. Okay. Yes, in this case, yes. Is community ever more important than individuals? I'm always wrong with your topics, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is community ever more important than individuals? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11. And it's all my fault because I'm not able to read those topics. What do we think of conspiracy theories? 13. Now, let's in theory, we have an Atmos winner, but we have to make another vote. So I'm going to see what happens with the first 3 struggling between each other. And the first 3 are: is patriotism a good thing? And limits of the free speech. And what do we think of conspiracy theories? So now everybody can vote just once. So what you're going to do is to vote, and when you voted, you put the hand on the table, so you're not going to vote twice. If you don't have the table, you can use, I don't know, like the guy in front of you, like, yeah, the head or something. Yeah, or here, as you wish. Guys, be creative, because we don't have enough tables tonight, so. Is patriotism a good thing? You can vote just for one. I'm going to read them again once, and then you're going to vote. 1. Is patriotism a good thing? 2. Limits of free speech. 3. What do we think about conspiracy theories? You can vote just for one of those. Be very careful about what you vote in this specific phase. Is patriotism a good thing? Raise up your hands. Hands on the table. Okay? Even the head, as Vincent, if you wish, I mean, it works. Limits of free speech. Raise your hand. "13." I think that up there somebody voted twice. I don't know. Or we are very, like, okay, what do we think about conspiracy theories? Now it should be like 2. Yeah, because I'm 3. Yeah, because of course everybody voted for limits of the free speech proposed by Daniel. So you win. Yeah. So, at the beginning of the discussion, what are we going to do? You're going to tell us why you're interested in this topic, and then everybody can speak. How does it work? Actually, the Philosophical Café is born in France, but nowadays we have a lot of methods all around the planet. But what I'm doing here is the French method, because my master in philosophical practice is from France, and I use the classical method. In the French method, you just raise up your hands, and I mark down your name. If I don't remember the name, of course I will ask, and you won't be able to speak until your turn. So for example, if you have 5 people online in the row before you, you have to remember everything. That's why you better have paper and pen, because probably when it's going to be your turn, you're not going to remember everything you wanted to say. Please write down what you want to say while you're listening to other people, okay? Write down and listen. And when it's your turn, you will have your time to speak out. When you have your time, of course, you cannot take like half an hour because the time is limited, but I will try to make, in theory it should be 2 minutes, but I try to be more like soft. So if you're finishing one concept, I will let you finish the concept. I'm not going to be like 2 minutes. I'm just watching the clock, and when it's about 2 minutes, I will do like that or like that or something, and you will understand that you have to finish the concept and pass the turn, okay? When other people are speaking, you listen to other people. Very simple as that. And it's not very simple, because in real life we don't listen to other people, we just listen to ourselves and we wait to our turn and then we speak, and then we don't even listen to others. But in Philosophical Café we train this ability of listening to other people, and we even improve this thing of being listened, because many times we just speak and nobody listens to us, so we can just bullshit. In Philosophical Café, you have at least 20 people that are really listening to you. So enjoy the emotional experience of being listened.
Sorry, when it comes to repetition, what if you like agree with what someone said? Are you allowed to speak and say that? Because that will involve some repetition.
You just shut up.
So you don't speak if you want to.
No, it's not politics. You don't have to agree and vote. It's just if you want to add.
Somebody made a nice point.
You don't emphasize.
Okay.
No, if somebody already said it, then it's done. If you want to add something else, you add it. You can always add everything you want, even if in theory it doesn't add up, because maybe it's so weird, but it's just adding up to the topic in your mind. You can do it. You're totally free. And what's going to happen if you repeat what somebody else already said? Actually nothing, you can do it, but it's going to be a loss of time for everybody. Because if something is already been said, please say something different. and even because, think about it, you're going to use your time to enjoy your time, so it's not going to be very funny if everybody's going to say, yes I agree, yes I agree, yes I agree. You're going to be bored in 10 minutes. Try to not do that. And if you want to do it, I'm not going to stop you. Do it. I'm just suggesting you to not do it. You do what you want. And so, we start with Daniel, that is going to explain us in about 2 minutes why he wanted to discuss about that.
Okay, I thought this is a very interesting topic because in the last years we have heard politicians and presidents of countries and in general speeches regarding the control of misinformation, about not hearing someone's feelings very much, and we are, you know, like also in social media platforms like YouTube or Instagram, we are seeing a kind of censorship based on not harming anyone, and I think this is really, really negative for a democratic society. Even if something can hurt someone, you know, it's very important that everyone must have the right to say whatever they want, because if they are wrong, it will prove itself that they are wrong. But if you are censoring someone, you are kind of afraid of not. When you want to censor someone, it's like you don't have arguments for what this person is saying. So that's why I think it's very interesting to discuss about free speech. I mean, my position is that free speech is sacred if we want to live in a free society, and also it's important to define what is free speech. Because if I say, what's your name, sorry?
Guido.
Guido, I'm going to kill you or something. This is violence, and I am showing that I am threatening you to do harm, physical harm. So this is, just to make it clear, this is not for me free speech. This is like a threat, let's say. So it's not a free speech about ideas, but ideas we should be able to discuss all of them. And they are stupid, they are silly, they are conspiracy, silly theories, they will drop by itself and we don't need to censor them. So that's my standpoint on the subject.
Thank you, Daniel. Hands up. Oh, wow. I'm going to just do that because I don't know how to. Okay, we have Ola, and then we have Victor, and then we have somebody. Keep the hands up, please. We have Mike, and then we have Matt, and then you have Andrea, and then we have Nathan, and then we have Maciek, and then we have Mika, and then we have wow. We already have a lot of people. It's such a huge discussion. Ola.
Okay. About the limits of free speech, I think it should be no limit. And what he said, like for example, a threaten is not free speech. It is free speech. I think it shouldn't have any limits. Either if it's a threat or it's whatever. Anything that I want to say or anybody wants to say should be able to say. And yeah, then it's for other people to judge, or for them themselves, if that's bullshit, as Daniel was saying, or not. But if I want to say to somebody, I'm going to kill you, then of course. I mean, I think free speech should be free and without any kind of limits.
That's wrong.
Including 100% everything, insults, everything.
Victor.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I'm going to respond to both of them. There's
Can you speak louder?
yeah, okay, so
Actually, can I ask one thing for you, because we are too many, so can you just stand up when you speak, because this way everybody will be more able to listen to you.
yeah, okay.
And
So,
speak to the farthest one.
okay, so Well, in response to both of them, I think there is a limitation of the free speech. So how far it will go and what is that exactly? And to start, I want to quote a really famous quote. I think lots of people have seen that on the internet or somewhere. Maybe read the book by themselves, like from Karl Popper, the open society and its enemies. So he talked about the free speech, the limitation of free speech. So the free speech stops when somebody else, when someone is actually harming other people's free speech. When the freedom stops when other people is harming your freedom, when other people's freedom. When other people are using this principle harming others. So there was a paradox. This is a really paradoxical topic, and there was also a paradox. For example, how the Second World War started. Why Hindenburg has done nothing to stop Hitler's party, when actually probably the first, or maybe not exactly first, but the strongest voice nearby Hindenburg was one of his advisor in politics, and law, the Carl Schmitt, the famous one, Carl Schmitt. He said you have to stop them at this point, at a certain point. When you don't do that, they are going to take over, and they will overturn your power, and this form of democracy will no longer exist. And he didn't listen. He didn't go that way. And then we know what happened already. So Hitler took over, and no freedom, concentration camps, and sovereign countries destroyed, attacked, and so on, completely destructive. And
go to an end.
Okay. Right. So there is a certain point of the limitation, and I think that's exactly important. Just like in Canada several years ago, 2016, there was a bill C-16. It was exactly the just one. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. We have Mike now.
Okay, yeah, I think I don't agree totally. I think that maybe there's some dangers of limiting free speech for sure, which seem to be your point, Ola, I think, right? But I think the danger of completely uncensored free speech, so we've got a big problem in Britain of the spreading of hate. I think maybe other countries in Europe have the same, and when it's completely unregulated and it's the only source of information people receive, it's kind of leading us into the sort of crisis we're heading towards. So I'd like to see some censorship of it. I just don't know where to draw the line, because I think there is a danger in limiting people's ability to speak. I agree with that, but I think there has to be some limit, because we're getting into problems with completely unlimited free speech. And then if I just might mention about like the impact of social media now on it, it seems to be creating echo chambers where people only see one perspective and are not open-minded to lots of different things. And I think we have to do something about it. I just don't know what the solution is. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. We have Matt.
Yeah, so
just one thing. While other people are speaking, you cannot speak. But if something comes up in your mind, you raise your hand, and I'm going to sign your name. Okay? So feel free to raise your hands while other people are speaking. So yes, we have Maria, and Daniel. You just moved, and my brain fucked up. Daniel. Thank you, guys, and Matt.
So I just want to add a little bit onto what Mike said. I also agree that I understand everyone's, everyone wants to be able to say what they want, and as long as they express themselves it's up to other people if they're offended or not, and I get that part of it. But there has to be laws, there has to be some kind of limit. Like, for example,
Yes.
okay. So, if you wanted to be, for example, incredibly racist to someone, right? Let's say that was your thing, and just because you want to shout a racist abuse at someone who's walking past you, doesn't give you the right, like, they have a right to not have racist abuse shouted at them as well, right? So, we're all living in this society together, so if there's absolutely no limits, then anyone can say what they want. And the other example you had before about, what did you say, like, it wouldn't be okay to say, to threaten someone, right?
No, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be okay.
Yeah, there's a law, right? Because that's threatening someone. But what if someone, let's say the President of the United States, said something like, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea if somebody killed that guy? That's not threatening anyone, right? He's just expressing his opinion. He's allowed to say what he wants. But actually, he can incite someone to do something that way, right? So, and then the final point I want to say is, we all, in a sense, like, free speech has never really been, everyone censors themselves to a degree anyway, so there's always been social conventions that stop you just saying everything you want at every time. Maybe there's a law in place, maybe there isn't, but it's not a bad thing to modify your language and think about other people, and if people do cross the line, and we have no right to say, I don't agree that you're offended. If someone's offended by something, then they have the right to, fight back in some way through that, something like that. Okay.
Thank you, Matt. We have Andrea. Is it the right pronunciation?
Yeah,
Andrea?
Italian.
Because I would read it like in Italian, Andrea, but probably it's not like that.
Oh, I want to use my time also to say I have to leave at 8:30. I have 2 young kids, so I think this is fascinating, but I have to leave. I think, speaking of kids, that maybe we're thinking about the topic in the context of us being mature adults, which I think, everyone here is able to really analyze what someone is saying, and if someone threatens you, to see if this is a real threat or they're joking or whatever. But we also need to bring into the conversation children, because children often believe what you tell them. So if I'm telling my child every day, that my 2 children every day, that they are ugly, that they are dumb, that they should hate someone, they don't have the capacities to determine, like, the truth will come out. As humans, like, we are more likely to look for things that confirm our worldview. So if you raise your child to believe that Ukrainian people or black people or women or whoever are less than them, they're going to be looking for things in their world that confirm what you have already told them. They're not going to be looking for things that are against what you told them. So I think definitely free speech maybe when it comes to opinion is very valuable because we can discuss it, but when it comes to things that are factual, that you can determine are facts or not facts, or that you can assess, it can be very dangerous just to say, especially for children, that you can say whatever you want. And even science, I think, follows trends. You can, there was a long time where people that the earth was flat, right? And so anyone who is... Oh, yes, but it is... people still believe. That's a different topic. I think, or even like let's say for women, right? Like if we believe that women say are less intelligent than men, obviously not. I'm showing that we aren't. But if you believe that, the science for many years confirmed that because people said it, and scientists are looking in that context. But if everything is held to some factual, some scientific, I think scientific degree, then I think that is a limitation that's important for speech.
Thank you, Andrea. And now a little provocation. Sometimes I will just not say anything, but provoke you in order to make you discuss more. Is there a real distinction we can find between an opinion and a fact? I know that you're going to fight a lot about this one. Nathan.
So I liked a lot where this was going. A little bit of this agreeing that I'm not supposed to do. But I think, so freedom of speech is hugely important to democracy, like was said. but there are some important limitations on it for violence. You can't have someone shouting fire in a theater, people storming out. It's a problem, and it should be illegal. So there are some limitations. When it comes to facts, I think freedom of speech should rule, because exactly for this reason, you can't determine what's an opinion and what's a fact, and a lot of things that are now considered fact were opinion at one point in time, were opinions that were looked down upon at one point in time. So you need a debate about what is fact and what isn't fact, and there's a public narrative that is pushed by important people, and you need to enable others to counteract that public narrative. It's really important. I think we could look at Russia and say Russia is suppressing opinion, or we could look at Russia and say they're allowing opinions to flourish. And I look at it, the problem is that they're suppressing opinion, not that they're allowing false opinions. It's the suppression that's the problem. So when it comes to facts, I think there should be no laws on absolutely freedom of speech. When it comes to things like violence, I think there you have to have some legal parameters.
Thank you, Nathan. We have Maciej.
A lot of what I was going to say has been said already, so I guess I'll just try to introduce something new. Because I'm going to relate to the differentiation between facts and opinions and everything, and maybe just highlight the fact that a lot of things people say that may be offensive or not, they are believed to be true, just like those catchphrases, like in racism. Now, something that seems like an opinion, they consider it a fact. They never think about it, and that's my problem with it, I think. They just repeat it after someone else without even considering it. This is how it spreads up. This is why it spreads up, I guess. Things like, those people are lazy, for example. They never checked. Yeah, just like you said, it was never studied, or it was and nobody listened. So I don't think you can have free speech. Speech can never be free if you don't really double check it, fact check it. So maybe from this perspective, I just wanted to make the differentiation that we often tend to think that it's only a legal problem, whether we should allow it or not, or it's limited somehow. But I just wanted to make that highlight the fact that I like what our friend just said, that we not only limit it by law, but also by culture, by just trying to be nice, and all these things. I like that. So I would just love to see a world in which people think about what they are saying, and only after that they express their thoughts. I mean, that would be nice.
Would be very nice. Nika.
So for me, I think free speech is very important because it sparks debate, and debate always leads to progress. But I think there must be a limitation in which I don't know where really to draw the line, but I want to touch about saying that something will prove itself to be wrong when it's said with free speech, because I don't agree with that. We still have problems with racism, we have problems with sexism, homophobia. In Iran, the religious leaders are saying that women are objects, and that hasn't, to some societies, proved to be wrong. And I think it's very important to always remember that words are not just words that someone will get offended by and that's it, but words have a real impact on people. For example, the president of Hungary is saying that Europeans should not become a mixed race, and that the countries in Europe that have a lot of mixed communities are no longer nations. That is going to cause, that is going to reflect on the society, and the people that may be directly affected by that are going to have a really bad time. It's like if I would say, yeah, people from X country are all rapists. That's also my free speech. But if I progressively somehow continue having more power, I will lead to something very dangerous for the people from this country. So, yeah, I think that it can be very damaging to society to not have any limits. Same way, for example, with the topic of the virus, regardless of our opinions, well, for me, unvaccinated people can put other people at risk. So it is already dangerous to give free speech to people that may not have a lot of knowledge on science or whatever, and it can affect other people. And not only kids, as Andrea said, I want to continue saying that adults can also easily be influenced by propaganda and by what their presidents or some ideologies say. So we are at risk of falling into, as an extreme thing, fascism, for example, just because of supporting an idea as free speech.
Thank you. Mario.
Okay, so I would like to touch on what Ola said, I believe, about threats being a part of our speech, and so... Okay, so I would just stand up, okay? I would like to touch on what Ola said about threats and how they should be a part of our free speech, like they are part of our speech, so if we want to have a free speech, then we should be able to say them too. But I think that even though we probably all here subscribe to slightly different versions of morality, there are different things that we consider to be good or bad, we still agree that certain things are immoral. So if you threaten, for example, if you believe that killing another person is immoral, then how is it moral to say that it's a good idea to kill someone, for example? So I think that we should act in such a way that we maximize the freedom of speech, but in order to maximize it, we have to put some limitations on it. You know, like for example, someone expresses an opinion that you do not like, and you say to that person, if you do not shut up, then I'm going to kill you, you're limiting the overall freedom of speech in a society, in a community. So you shouldn't be able to say that. In the same way, like for example, if you are in a community that is mixed in terms of religions that people subscribe to, if you have one group that really hates a certain religious group in that community, then you want to get rid of those people that hate this part of the community in order to maximize the freedom in the community overall.
Thank you, Maria. We have Daniel.
Yes, I wanted to say something about several things that were said. For example, Victor is your name, sorry?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Victor, you said about the Popper paradox, right?
What? Karl Popper, yeah.
Karl Popper, yeah.
Karl Popper.
This paradox was about saying that we shouldn't allow the free speech for some people in the society because if those ideas will remove free speech from the entire society, right? This is like
sort of like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think it makes no sense because, I mean, because you know, if there is like some, let's say, someone with an ideology that wants to shut up everyone, and they speak, it will solve itself if everyone is free also to speak because their arguments will fall by themselves. You know what I mean? Like there is like a society in which everyone is saying whatever they want, and there is a group of people that are defending some ideas that are against freedom, free speech, whatever. So it doesn't make sense for me to make them shut up because you know it doesn't matter whatever they say. They will say it's not the solution in my opinion. You know, Karl Popper said this, but I don't think it makes very much sense. Someone said here something. I don't know if it was you, right?
Me,
or
depends what it was.
You said something, but I was speaking my right. I'm not against it. You said something about not offending many people, right? In UK that you have some problems, right? Or,
I don't think it was about not offending people. It was
but
like
it was him.
it was Matt, but
No, Martin?
Matt.
Yeah.
I think Mike's
Now, actually, guys, if you want to explain, you got to sign up and speak afterward. So just say your opinion, and I can underline, like, mark your name, and you're going to be able to explain afterward. I'm taking both of you.
I don't know what he's going to say about what he said.
Okay, let's see. He's going to speak. If you have something to add, you just raise your hand, because actually the line is not long, so you're going to answer in very short time.
Yeah. I want this. Sorry, what's your name?
Me.
Maria.
Maria.
Maria said, about drawing the line, right? Because about offending people, but the problem here is that who has the authority to say in one case you cannot say this because this will be very harmful, or in another case, no, who has this authority? I don't think anyone has this authority. It's something because if you give this power to someone, you are giving power always corrupts in general. This is a personal opinion. So if you give this power to someone, it's unavoidable, inevitable that they will cut free speech, and the final outcome will not be good. So I don't think no one has actually this authority. It's like how I understand free society and free speech is that it's like it's not the same, because when you speak about democracy, you speak about separation of powers, like the legislative, executive, and like those three powers, and they control each other. So with free speech, I think it's kind of the same. Everyone will say whatever they want, so we will control each other, like self-regulating each other. So I don't think no one has the authority to really do something. Sorry, and I will finish with something. And also we have to ask ourselves what is more important, the truth or not to offend anyone. Because if you start to think like that, let's not offend someone, maybe we will not find the truth, because maybe sometimes the truth is offensive and it's painful. It's life. Okay, so...
Thank you, Daniel. Hola.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here it's a little bit difficult to get standing, so I'll just raise my voice. I wanted to say there is no need to have that are wrong. About what he said about the freedom ends when we are hurting people or offending people. I think words usually are not that powerful that we can hurt someone or offend someone unless they feel hurt or offended, and that's a little bit, okay, it sounds bad, but it's a little bit their problem if they feel offended or hurt. And another one thing, about where was said somewhere also, there's always also a counter voice. Like if there is something, if someone's spreading lies, that's free speech, they shouldn't do it, but there is always a counter voice. Like what Mika was saying, like some president or some person said, like all people from this country are stupid, or all blacks are inferior, or whatever. There is always a counter voice that can say, okay, that is not like that. So that is like saying different facts and opinions, both. And facts should never be censored. Opinions actually neither. It's a little more difficult, but probably they shouldn't be censored either.
Thank you, Ola, and we have Victor.
Oh, okay, thank you. So, I'm going to stand up.
We have a little change, but don't you worry.
Okay. So I'm going to answer both of you, and I'm going to pick up. I have 2 minutes, so I'm going to pick up one point. He has stressed many points, but one I think more important point, compared to others. He said because you stress it twice actually in your statements, like people will finally figure out what is true and whatsoever, and so there is no need for the censorship. But the thing is, but the reality isn't really work like that. and we already see, and also at this point I want to answer you, because you said idea wasn't that scary. If somebody was affected or offended, that's their problems. Okay, but I have used one example which has already happened in the history. Nazi state, Hitler, concentration camps, and several countries in the middle, Europe, even France ceased to exist for several years, and that kind of destruction, that wasn't just an idea; it's an extension of the idea itself. So Hitler was exactly following his ideas, and he was very unpopular. He was a failed artist, failed drawer, but eventually he became the Führer. So when there is no limitation, that is indeed very dangerous. And how dangerous it can be, it already happened. We know what happened already. And there is one thing is like, and I come back to your point. There is someone, 1960s, answered your concern. His name was he was a Stanford, a Princeton professor, was a physicist called Thomas Kuhn, and he wrote a book. I'm sorry, maybe that wasn't exactly the title. I translated from German back to English. So it was like the paradigm of the paradigm of the scientific revolution. So how we change the paradigm when the science developed. Yeah, indeed, there are some stage of developments, but at what point the whole paradigm has been changed. So the problem is, but the thing is, there is a paradigm. When you're not.
If you don't want to be in the video, please a little bit.
Okay. Thank you. So when until the paradigm is finally changed, there is a paradigm, ongoing paradigm. So if you are going to say, yeah, we don't, the thing are going to figure it out by itself, no, it's not going to happen like that. It never happens like that. So, another point, the last one. So I'm going to end. The thing is, for example, Hannah Arendt said once answered this question in one of her interview. 19 I don't know 54 or 56. He said the freedom of speech is a fault when the factual truth doesn't matter. So people are not going to, only the professionals are going to figure out what is the truth, but the public, no. The public never figure out what is the truth. And we know what happened. Hitler happened. Putin happened. Viktor Orban happened. All of these dictators happened when there is no censorship. This is not really about censorship. When there is no limitation of free speech, because the classical fascists used this paradigm, used this this paradox in their favor, for their interest, and now the new fascists are also using it for to gain their benefit. So that's all.
Thank you, Victor. We have Maria.
Yes, I wanted to give an answer to
And guys, just one thing, there is a free space up there, so if somebody wants to go.
Okay, I wanted to give an answer to you. Can you remind me your name? Because I don't know. Once again? Daniel, okay. Yeah, so you were referring to something that I said previously about, and you said something about offending people, and that wasn't exactly what I said. I was talking about threatening people, and I think threatening people isn't the same thing as offending people.
Threatening people?
Threatening people. Like, for example, someone expresses an opinion that you do not like, and you come from a position of power, supposedly, in this context, and you say, if you don't stop with this narrative, then I'm going to kill you, then I'm going to persecute you in some way, you know, and that is threatening. And I don't really care about offending, really, because I think people can take it. Like, people get offended when you disagree with them, but still you just disagree. You don't threaten them with certain actions against them in order to make them quit speaking about a certain topic. So, yeah, I wasn't really talking about offending. And I wanted also to refer to something that Ola said again. Like, you said that we do not need an external censorship because we already have an internalized version of it, like we censor ourselves. But do you really believe that to be true? I mean, it's certainly true to most people, I'd say, to some people for sure. But have you never seen a politician, like a person in a position of power, that threatened people with death, that promoted lies, manipulation in order to make society, a community, hate a certain group? Okay.
We have Matt now.
So just quickly answering a couple of points. Danielle, you said like who's got the authority or whatever to draw the line? Well, it's the same authority as all law, right? Like the law is you can say something, you can have free speech until a point. And politicians decide the law, the courts enforce the law. But it's just like if I said something about you, you could potentially sue me for defamation or something, right? And if I said something that incited violence, then I could be prosecuted by the police or something. So there are laws to it. For me, that's not the issue. The issue is where you draw the line. Who draws the line? That depends on the the legal system, the political system in which you grow up or in which you live. But yeah, so just on that very, very narrow point, that's in my head, yes, it's actually quite clear. Like not where the line is, but who has the right to do it. It's politicians, and we vote for politicians, and the courts enforce it, and all that kind of thing. Right? That's just my one thing there. And the final thing, rather than discussion here about, I just want to say one thing about offending people, right? I think it's very easy sometimes when you can't imagine how you could be offended so much, right? Because, like, okay, just speaking for myself, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I am a white, male, straight person, right? There's very little...
Cisgender.
Sorry?
Cisgender.
Yeah. There's... I've never suffered from persecution in a way, I'm even, on top of that, I'm English. I can go anywhere and just speak my language arrogantly and people still speak back and everything. For me, it's very easy to just, I can't imagine like being so offended, but actually a lot of people are very, very offended at certain things. And just to put it in context, for example, again, building on the point of the truth will come out, or it doesn't really matter what you say because in the end everything's going to be okay. Imagine, for example, you had a teacher, and the teacher was exercising his or her right to free speech, and within that, they were telling their kids who were maybe 10 years old, 8 years old, or whatever, and they're saying, for example, yeah, so you know that Catholicism is evil, and the Polish sort of society is really backward compared to other things, and all these things that your mother is telling you, these things are wrong, and that teacher can have a real effect on those kids. And I can imagine if you had a kid in a class like that was coming back and saying things that completely clash with everything you believe, I don't think you'd be saying, oh well, it's that person's right to free speech, they said it, the truth will come out. That person, your kid could be, massively influenced by this, and it could offend you. And I genuinely think that those moments, and that's just one simple example, there are many, many, many examples of racism and other sorts of persecution, that if there's no sort of limit on it, you can't just keep saying, oh, I didn't mean it, well, I don't care if they're offended, they should learn to not be offended. People get bullied, people get beaten up, people get killed, because of words that are incited by other people and all sorts of things. So it's not as simple as don't get offended, or if you get offended, that's your problem, in my opinion.
Thank you, Matt. A small provocation. Is the right of being offended the right of dictating the rules? Because if you have one minority that has the right to be offended, everything you can say, they can stop you because they will tell you, we are offended. Where is the limit that we can put on being offended? Just a small provocation, you will be able to answer right after, that's Matt once again, right after one song.
Thank you. Me too. I just at the same point as an answer to Daniel when he asked that okay, if we have a limitation of free speech, then who is actually drawing the line and who decides what it is wrong to tell? Then I think that's the same issue not only for speeches but for actions actually. Who decides that it is that it is wrong to kill? I don't know who decides that. Who decides that it is wrong to steal or to rape? I don't know, but still we actually live with that, and we don't care who has the one who has the authority to decide that. So me too, I don't believe this is a major issue, because if it is an issue, then it is an issue not only for speeches but for everything. And I also wanted to react to some arguments which was given at the very beginning, I think, by you. I forgot your name, I'm sorry.
Hola.
Hola, yes. I think that you told that, maybe somebody else also. The main argument when you say, okay, you can have free speech because it doesn't matter, because if people decides to believe in something, then you can always refute them with science and with facts, with proven facts. And if they don't agree with that, it's just that you were not good enough and you didn't give enough facts or enough evidences. And I think it is a bit too easy because a lot of people. So we also wanted to speak maybe about conspirationist theory, and when we look on the internet, people who believe in some conspiracies, they don't care about facts, in the sense that you can have a lecture of 5 hours with them, like proving them that that the earth is not flat. They will not care and they will not believe it because they have decided that it's flat. So I think it is a bit too easy to say, oh, you can just give some scientific facts, because if it works like that, then we will all agree over the same things and that's it. And we see that it is not the case. And of course I give a trivial fact about flat Earth, but it can be much more serious, and sometimes it can have really effects on people's life. For example, a few days ago I got myself interested in some very important
lawyer business.
Yes, judiciary matter, like yes, judiciary case that happened in France like 2 decades ago. Like a few kids claim to have been sexually offended by 10 or 15 people. They went to trial twice, and finally they got acquitted because it was proven that actually kids were not telling the whole truth and so on. And I look at the comments about this case like 30 years later, and a lot of people still believe that actually the accused person were guilty with a lot of insults, of course. And I thought myself, okay, what if I was at their place, like I got a trial. So I was given a chance to prove that I didn't do what people claim I did. I was recognized like innocent, and still people don't care about facts and still have their own opinion and can still like get at me as being like a rapist and so on. So I think that just answering with you can give facts, you can give science for a lot of reasons is not enough.
Thank you, Vincent. Mika.
Yeah, so I want to touch on something that Ola said a while ago, which was that while using free speech, we should be aware that we won't say something harmful or rude, or something along those lines. And I think that the way that we talk, like assuming that there won't be something extremely harmful on words, is sort of idyllic. Like, I think that words, first of all, for me, words are very important because words are the foundation of everything we know. Everything starts with words. It's not just assumed, like thinking that they don't have any impact, because I don't think it's that way. I don't think that anywhere in the world we live on an equal society between the genders, the races, and that's, yeah, at least on my country I can say that, well, on my country and in Poland, but first on my country, I know that, well, I'm from Ecuador and we have a big problem with racism against indigenous people in Ecuador. And it has real problems on the society. And it starts with people just saying, oh yeah, those indigenous people are the lowest part of society, we don't have to care about anything that they say. And that's free speech. But it creates a real effect on the lives of these people. Also in Poland, I am mixed, I'm half Ecuadorian and half Polish, and I can see how people react differently, even on the street, when they hear me either speaking Polish or they hear me speaking Spanish. And all of those thoughts, like the racism that people in Poland face when they're not Polish or not Western European, to be honest, to real world actions like wars, oppression, abuse, everything starts with allowing extreme ideas on our daily speech. Like, we cannot assume that everyone is gonna think that we're all equal, because that is just not the reality. We're saying that free speech is valuable, but we are forgetting about all of the real problems that it takes just from one person with slight power saying, yeah, all people from this race are rapists, and it just builds up. Maybe at the beginning we can say it's just gonna be words, but there's gonna be one person that will listen to this and be like, oh yeah, that's true. So I should maybe kill, or I should maybe hurt this person. Or, oh, because my president said that we shouldn't, like in Hungary, we shouldn't have mixed people, I shouldn't hire this person who is mixed, and so on. So words have a real impact. And it's not just, oh, I won't get offended, because I don't think we're debating about whether telling to someone, well, your nose is ugly, but rather about real big problems. Recently there has been huge problems with racism of people, to people from Asia because of COVID, saying that they created COVID, that they made a whole problem in the whole world. And in places like the US, for example, I saw that there were a lot of attacks, like physical attacks, to Asian people because of this. So yeah, it's not only about offending someone, it's about influencing the opinions of people and their actions.
There we go, perfect. I was about to tell you come to the end, but you already came to the end, so perfect. Nathan is there. Thank you, Mika.
I think there's freedom of speech and there's also responsibility of speech, and we have to speak up when there is racism. We have to speak up when there is problems. We have to speak up. We have a responsibility to do so. And sometimes that's ugly. Sometimes that's nasty. Sometimes it's not nice. And we still have to do it. We have to speak up. there's another topic that I'm more interested in. It's about this social media aspect and facts, and it's related to vaccines and to climate change. And everyone's saying things like 99% of scientists agree that vaccines are effective. Well, probably scientists agree that certain vaccines are effective in certain cases, but the science about these particular vaccines is much grayer and is much more disagreed and debated. And usually, the best ideas come from the 1%. So 99% of people think this, 1% of people think that, and the 1% is where Einstein is sitting, and where Newton is sitting, and where Copernicus is sitting. And if you suppress that 1%, that idea never comes out. That idea never comes to light. And so vaccines are, and actually I think vaccines are a perfect example. They're not as effective as they were made out to be 2 years ago. People said vaccines were going to be effective for 2-3 years. They're effective for a few months, maybe. And that's the real science, and it came from the 1%. And so we have to start thinking of it that way, that the good ideas come from the 1%, the opinion at one point in time.
Thank you, Nathan. We have Ola.
Okay, I don't know where to start with. I'll start with Maria, because that's a very good question. Like, people who have power, as authorities, should they have freedom of speech? Because they have authority and they can say something that is going to influence people who follow them. That's a very interesting question, because there I agree with you. Probably they shouldn't. Like, if Trump says something like totally, for example, Trump, something like totally ridiculous, still many people will think about it, will probably act about it. But who can coerce these people with power? That would be the thing. It's who can stop them. So there we have a problem. I don't see, and there I leave it open. Like, what's the solution? How can we censor these people? And should they be laws, or how? How can you stop that? Or Putin, he's already not letting people talk and the media not talk. Who is going to stop him from saying what he's saying? I don't see a solution there. But I agree that some things can be dangerous if said by people with power. Okay, I had here about what Matt was saying. Yeah, people have a code of conduct, so they know more or less what they should be saying and what not. I think people, adults, are usually aware what is good to say and what is not good to say, and when they are crossing the line. I have that faith in humanity. Maybe I'm still too naive. And yeah, like about what Vincent was saying, like, for example, shall we censor like people like the flat earthers because they are wrong? Probably not. I mean, most people with more education, or that they have read more, or that they know more about science, they know that they are not right, and they don't give them that much importance. Shall we censor what they are saying? I don't think so. I think that would be like unfair to them, even if what they are saying is bullshit. But censoring them, I think it's a little bit too much. It's coercing their freedom of speech. We're talking, and then I'm thinking a lot about the solution to all this. Like, that made me think a lot what Maria was saying. How can we find a solution about that? And talking about social media, it's my last point, sorry. What Nathan was saying, in social media there is a lot of cancel culture, and I don't agree with that. Like, for example, in Instagram, if you say one word that is not politically correct, then you get already, oh, your account has been banned for 2 weeks, just because you say, for example, nigger or something like that, or they think that you're a white supremacist, or anything that sounds like insulting, or I'm gonna put you up, and it's just a post, and sometimes it's even a joke, and people get banned. That's, I think, a little bit exaggerated. With this cancel culture, I think people are getting in society a little bit too sensitive. Like, and that's what censorship is leading to. People being a little bit too sensitive sometimes.
Thank you, Ola. We have Matt.
I think I've made my points really. I think people have made...
You don't have necessarily to speak if you don't want.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I'll just be repeating the same things I was saying before about, for me there are limits still, there is still an appreciation, you still... I mean, just, okay, very quickly, I'll just say that. So, people are too sensitive. Potentially, yes, maybe some people are, but again, it's not necessarily your right to say how somebody else should be feeling when they read something. You've got no idea what they've been through. So if you say the word nigger in a post, in an Instagram post, as a joke, well, you don't know how many times that person's been called a nigger or something like that, and it offends them wholeheartedly. And the other issue we're talking about here really is about, okay, it's about having a platform, right? So you could potentially have free speech, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're given an equal platform to express it, right? So it's down to the media sometimes to decide, okay, you know, this guy's not saying anything necessarily illegal, but we don't necessarily need to put him on the same stage as everybody else. And the social media companies are also platforms. You know, they can set their own rules. You know, this is not like you know, enshrined in the law. Everyone has the right to have a Twitter account or Instagram account. Those companies can decide what their rules are for posting. And so they could, for me, it's completely natural that they will have algorithms that find certain words and they'll instantly suspend an account while they check it out, while a human looks at it. So I just want to make that point generally about, it's not up to us to decide how someone else should be offended or not. Like, you might think they're being oversensitive, I might as well at certain times, but then there are other things that, you know, I could accidentally say something that completely triggers something, like some horrible past memories or something, and you know, you have to be sensitive to them as well as saying that they shouldn't be too sensitive, is what I'm saying. That's the end.
Okay, before the next one, just a little provocation, the logarithm problem, because the logarithm problem, it seems to be not only the fact that, for example, if you write down the N word as a joke, maybe somebody already heard it a lot of times, but there is even the fact that I cannot even fight against the N word, because if I write it down, I will be censored. That's kind of a paradox, because the logarithm is not able to understand if I'm using it to make a joke of somebody or just to say that this word is wrong. If I write N word is wrong, yes, I have to write like, I have to be very careful, because otherwise I can get censored. And that's a very real example, because once I was publishing just a meme against Nazis, and I've been banished for 1 month for being a Nazi. It was quite funny. And we have Daniel.
Yeah, so many things were said. Yeah, like, sorry, you said something about who has the authority, right? You said that the same with laws, right? You go to do some violent act, the law will go after you. You know, when speaking about who has the authority to regulate free speech. But in my opinion, here is like another level, another dimension. If you are hurting physically someone, that's a crime. But so this is because you said something before. What is the difference between a fact and an opinion? Not this. When you are harming someone, it's a fact that you are harming. You are doing something illegal. So the law, okay. And as you said, I agree with you. In cases of you know, when you sue someone by, if I say a lie about you, you can sue me. Or I agree in those cases. But you go to a very interesting point, because this is okay, well said in the law, but the problem nowadays is also with the platforms, because platforms are supposed to be a public forum, and I think they have too much power. That they, you know, I agree that okay, they are private companies, whatever, they can do whatever they want, but still, if it's my opinion, okay, maybe I'm wrong. But I think if this is like a public forum, there should be like some enforcement on free speech as long as you don't threaten anyone or you don't do something that is out of the law. Exactly. If there is something out of the law, so those platforms should ban it. But
which law? I mean, we're talking
you
about
know, in
multinational
general,
law.
when you are.
But if someone in England is tweeting someone in Japan, which law are we talking about here?
Yeah, I guess you would have to use the law of the country of the person affected.
Actually,
I don't know.
Guys, please don't do that, okay? You
Oh,
raise
sorry,
your hand
sorry,
and I'm going to sign you up.
No.
Daniel, please come to an end.
Yes, and I also agree with him when he said about this point about science, because in the last years with this COVID stuff, all media and all authorities were behaving in the most unscientific way, because science is all the time about questions, about checking the facts all the time, and if you were censoring everyone saying or everyone having an objection, you were censoring them. So that was like the most authoritarian thing in many years. And actually, we came to the proof that they didn't do some tests before. But I don't want to get into science. So it's very good, mainly for science. Because science is built upon questioning all the time, and there is a difference between fact and opinion.
Maciek?
Right. So as much as I generally hate the fact that many philosophies tend to take an aspect of life out of its context and then discuss it like a lab rat that's never seen the light of day and everything. I think personally in this case, I think we shouldn't really mix speech with acts if we are to get somewhere, because I agree that words do have impacts on our life and our reality and everything, but I think this is the distinction that we can take advantage of. That it's very easy to tell, the difference between basically just whether it's about facts or opinions. It's speech that may not harm physically, and actions which are, easy to tell apart from words. And to support that, I can say that eventually, after some perhaps mental training, you may choose not to be offended in all instances, but you may not choose not to be punched in the face or just being prosecuted in any way, like physically. And obviously, people who are told lies will be affected by those lies and then make their decisions, based on those lies. I don't think we can solve that problem by discussing free speech. And I think, while I would like to see, threats just gone away completely, I think I'm going to side with making that after all, they may just be empty words. Sometimes they are not, but it is the actions that should be, punished or prevented, not the words themselves. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you, Maciek. And now we have Victor.
Okay. So, I want to talk about you already agree how dangerous an idea can be, but one of the thing is that probably not enough. I fear that you probably not haven't agreed enough how dangerous an idea can be. We were talking about an idea like an mass ideology. You know how many people got affected by that action, the extension of that idea. How many people died because of the Holocaust?
I'm not allowed to reply.
You can give a number.
No.
You can give a number.
Do it yourself.
Okay. 14 million. This isn't. You are talking about somebody is sensitive, and I really deeply disagree with that. 14 million people died. And you're saying 14 million people are sensitive, or their relatives are sensitive, or more people who eventually survived and lived with that trauma, and how that kind of trauma affect their next generations and next generations, and how how their family relationship would be affected by this kind of trauma. That's a great kind of destruction. It's even worse than the people who were died there, you know. And another point is, the modern philosophy, they are not simply some people put some, act according to some ideas, but the idea itself is the power. The idea itself is the reality. For example, Jean Baudrillard debated with Jacques Derrida. So the war, the America fought in the Mediterranean, in the Balkan War. So how did that happen? Well, the idea happened. They planned all of the things in a closed environment, and the idea is the reality itself. The actual action, what happened, the missiles, the soldiers, what happened there is the simple extension, is the final realization of that reality. So what happened when we have already learned what happened in the history, what happened with the Nazi ideology, what happened in the past, and what will happen, and we are seeing that the people who are advocating hatred, who are advocating, for example, new Nazis, new fascists, synonyms, they are still alive. The idea is still alive, and people are still affected. And we know what happened in the past, and we know what will happen. We already seen what happened. See Putin, what Putin is doing, so we already know what is happening. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you a lot, Victor, and we have Maria.
Yeah.
You keep looking at me like I wasn't there, but
because
it's not my fault.
The list, for a second, but it's okay. I was
If you want to speak, you have a place here.
Yeah, okay, so I'd like to correct something that I said previously when I was giving a response to Daniel. I said that I don't care that much about offending people, and after listening to other people speaking about offense and offending people with words, I realized that that was a very unfortunate way of expressing what I actually wanted to say. And I think there is a very clear and distinct difference between exercising, difference in impact between exercising freedom of speech in a formal context, like in our daily lives, in comment sections on Facebook and so on, and exercising freedom of speech on a level of politics, like exercising a freedom of speech when you're a person that has a big platform, that has authority, that is listened to by many people. And yeah, I think when ordinary people are going to believe something about everything. Like, that's a fact. Like, maybe a person with no background in science, with no background in politics, isn't really suited to decide whether a certain ideology is right, whether what is being said about the vaccines in the media or whatever is right, but they're going to believe something, and if they don't get the chance to express that opinion, like on the internet or in their daily conversations, then they're not going to stop believing that. They're just going to get pushed into the underground, where they're going to get more extreme in their views, and that's not really benefiting anybody. Because eventually those people are going to come together and get a leader, and then they're going to get worse, basically, like when they already have a harmful worldview. But when you're a politician and people democratically, like by canceling even, put some limitations on your freedom of speech, and you are getting pushed into the underground, then that's a good thing, because your harmful views do not spread. But I don't really know if I believe in democracy here, because we're already living in a world where we are closed in those very intimate bubbles, like you said before, where like we are in such a weird context right now that I don't really know if democracy will work here, because people just do not have access to the whole variety of information and views that is out there. So that's it.
Thank you, Maria. We have Mika.
So I want to touch on the topic of like people in power needing to be aware of the things that they say, because I think that on the age that we live in, through social media, everyone with a little bit of effort can have power. To be honest, it's so easy in social media to become viral with an opinion or things like that, well, I want to touch an example on this. There was the Boston bombings on 2013, if I'm not wrong, and on Reddit, which is like a platform where you make forums, there was a subreddit that they were trying to find the person that did these attacks. And they were doing the same in 4chan. To the subreddit, there was only 3,000 people that joined, which is a minuscule amount of people compared to all of the population of Boston. But they, for some reason, decided that a guy called Sunil was the one that was to blame for the bombings, that he was the sole culprit. And even though the police never said that he was the culprit, all of social media, including bigger platforms like BuzzFeed, were saying that this guy was the culprit solely from the opinion of these guys in Reddit. His family started being stalked terribly because of that. Started getting death threats, all of the family, not only him. And he ended up killing himself. Even after the police already confirmed that the people who did the bombings was not him, that he had no connection, just through the usage of social media and people using their free speech, really, these people killed himself due to the effect of everything that was talked about. So, is the right of free speech should it be as strong as to be able to say whatever we want about anybody? Social media, you can't really, nobody was prosecuted from Reddit as defamation after that. Even less in 4chan, which is more anonymous than Reddit. So, yeah, I don't think it's that hard right now to be able to put very extremist ideas that can have real effects in people nowadays. And something small that I also want to touch about is about people being too sensitive. And that we were talking that the social media is censoring things for people that are being too sensitive. But then I wonder, is putting boundaries on what we think that should be allowed being too sensitive? Like, for example, the usage of the N-word, which carries a lot of generational trauma for the people that were told this. Is it wrong to accept that they don't want it to be used? If we're talking about the moral code that people have, part of the moral code should be empathy. And like, I think in a lot of cases, though I don't agree with censorship, it's a bit of a problem for me to decide on which side I am. But for the sake of this, maybe these censorships are there to exactly prevent these antiquated thoughts to continue being present in our society. Maybe the reason why the N-word is censored in social media is for the people that use it as something real, not as a joke, but as something real, will have less of a platform to do that. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mika. We have Vincent.
Yes, actually I'm a bit sad because I was going to answer Matt's points and he left. So, he was just saying a small remark about, so Ola was claiming that people get too sensitive a bit, and he answered like yes, but on Twitter, like Twitter is a private company, so they can have their rules, and we don't have a say in that. Yes, perhaps yes, but in a sense, it's a bit too easy to say that, because nowadays you cannot really exist like politically without a Twitter account. So not like 20 years ago. I mean, I don't really see a guy getting elected in some country as a president or woman without having a Twitter account. Like nowadays it would be like just impossible. So to exist publicly and to have an influence on people, you must have in a sense you must have some access to social media. So it's a bit too trivial to say, oh, but it's a private company, it's a private company, so they can just do as they want. And second point about Ola, so you answer my point saying, oh, but I don't think we have to ban, ban flat earther of claiming that there's flat. So that was not my point. Okay, I don't claim we have to limit their speech. I was just giving a trivial example how just giving science cannot be enough. But I don't claim we have to ban flat earthers of claiming Earth is flat, because actually it is flat. But also, yes, that was just a harmful example actually. But you can
it's
see
also
that,
an example for me.
yes, but you can see that there can be like much, no, it was an harmless example, but you can see that there can be much more harmful examples, like the one that you can just told about the zombie guy. And that's all. That's my point.
Thank you, Vincent. And now we have the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, and then we are going to go to the next phase. Surprise. Paula?
Okay. To Victor, I didn't get the story very well about the Nazis and all that. So you're saying, sorry, it's a question, so maybe he wants to reply. So you're saying that free speech is what created the Holocaust? It's what caused the Holocaust after all? Like the Holocaust was a consequence of free speech? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know much about history or politics as you do, but
It depends how much do you care about it.
Just that if it was a consequence of if the Holocaust was a consequence of free speech. That's my question.
Okay, we have Nathan.
Yeah.
Okay, in theory, but you never spoke, so I'm going to add you. Once again, Dominic. Dominic. Okay.
Just kind of talking to this, what's the lesson to learn from dictators? I don't think it's that bad ideas are destructive and bad ideas lead to genocides. Because all of those same bad ideas are everywhere. They're in the US, they're in Germany, all of those bad ideas. The lesson to learn from dictators is a bad idea coupled with somebody who uses the government and all of the power of the government to censor for their idea and to censor and ensure that only their idea is what gets communicated. That's what causes a dictator. A dictator is almost by definition censorship for their ideas. So I would say freedom of speech undermines dictators, not the other way. So that's on that.
Thank you, Nathan. We got Valentin.
Just make a first point, which is not related to the topic itself, it's more related to the process. I think everybody's kind of discussing around the same idea, but we have not agreed on a particular common agreed definition of this idea, and everybody is expressing their own point of view related to his or her mental map of whatever freedom of speech is. And when we are replying to other people, we are
kind of touching secondary points, because the main, let's say, construct is not so much touching, even though we are kind of describing it with the points we are touching, like the subordinate clauses of arguments and so on. And second, I will finish this one. I might be very wrong about the first one, so please correct me. But I felt it's second of all, I don't think we have freedom of speech anywhere in a pure form. It's mostly like a philosophical idea, like utopia, somewhat akin to talking about God, happiness, and love. It's better to analyze this in very specific points, very narrowed down to geographies, cultures, political systems, and the outcomes we want to measure. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot. We have Daniel.
Yes, Maria, you said something about that about the underground, like when you are censoring someone that has like opposing views, you are creating an underground that is like poisoning the system, let's say.
I didn't understand, sorry. Can you say
I'm
it
asking
again?
about what you said, because you were saying that, for example, with COVID, they were like censoring some views, so these people go like underground, and that is bad for democracy, right? Yeah, I think that it comes to what I said before, like when you are censoring someone so much, it means for me that you have something to hide, so I agree with you in that point. I wanted to go to some point that you made, sorry, I don't remember your name. You. Yes, from Ecuador. Nika. Okay, you said a story about some guy that he killed himself, right? I don't know the story, but this is like a kind of extremist case, and you know, if they were lying directly about this person, this is a case of defamation, so I don't think it's related directly with free speech, in my opinion. Because, yeah, you are harming someone, but that's illegal, you know, and it's one of the feelings that I consider for free speech. Let's say, when you are defaming someone, I mean, I think that anyone can say anything you want, but if you say something that is wrong, you should have later the punishment of the law, that you should have the right to say it. Later you said something about the sensitivity of people, right? You know, we all can get offended. Even I can get offended sometimes, and you know, I don't think the solution is always to censor, you know, because you can just ignore it. If I don't, if I get offended by something, I will just ignore it and just let go. Because you said that we should use a mode of empathy. You said something like that, no? Like empathy should be our what we have to consider, no? When we speak. I am an empathic person, okay, but I don't think this is like something that you should consider always, because, for example, if someone believes himself to be Napoleon, and I will tell him you're not Napoleon, you will be very, very offended, and you will not be you will not have an empathy for this person. But it's the truth, and it's a fact, you know. So I just want to say those words.
Thank you, Daniel. We have Maciek.
More frequently than free speech or whatever, was manipulation and lies, and I assume you can all agree, those are the harmful parts of it. It's not this freedom of speech, like, even as our friend there was trying to verify if the freedom of speech was the actual reason, and we all know it was not the freedom of speech, but the lies that were spread thanks to it, but it's still the lies that were the problem, right? So lies and manipulation. So we are not really discussing whether lies and manipulation should be allowed, right? It's more about the freedom of speech, and I think this is how we can approach it. And now I would like to continue Chris and Yumika, about that story about suicide. I mean, obviously, it's the people who took that idea, the misinformation about this single guy, the chosen guy who was to be harassed, and then they bullied his family and everything. It's those people that transgressed something that I would like to limit more. I mean, those were the actions that transpired, that occurred. And I mean, whatever the information was, they should have just left it there. Like it's an opinion or it's an idea. I mean, perhaps started. They could have started an investigation because I mean, it might have been evidence. Like maybe to check this guy out. I mean, checking someone is not really that hard, I suppose. But yeah, only like harassing without proper checking. That's the harmful part. And just have a quick look. Yeah, I mean, and he committed suicide. But many things can drive people to that act. Sometimes it's maybe not facts, but sometimes it's just information that they got on their own. So it's not really, I think, the proper tool of judgment. If someone killed him or herself because of that, it's not really a good point because they may have a number of reasons anyway. So it's not really the freedom of speech problem per se. And perhaps, I think I'll stay with that.
Thank you, Maciek. And now we have Malek.
At first, I want to say that I have great sympathy for the points you made, Mika, about minorities, about people who are victims of, let's say, hate speech, who are being mostly affected by this. But for me, the alternative that you're implying is that, I mean, the regulating the speech of people and, let's say, implementing limitations on speech by law, by the state, is far worse and far more dangerous than the first. Because I think when we have a state that controls the words and the opinions that people say, then we might end up, in a state that that overuses this power, and we might end up with a dictatorship. And Nathan actually touched on this, something that I wanted to say, which is that Victor here mentioned Nazis, for example, or mentioned the atrocities they made, and exactly like you said, it's not because they were allowed freedom of speech. It's because of their overreach of power, and this excessive power led them to commit the atrocities that they did. And I think, like you said, we all censor our speech. Like we all have cultural and social norms that regulate how we behave and how we talk. And I think we should leave it up to societies to self-regulate. You should leave it to people, and like you said, I really have faith in humanity, and I think if you give people free speech and the freedom to say what they like and what they feel like saying, at the end truth will always prevail, and the counter argument will be, if it's false information, the counter argument will be much more greater and more persuasive to people than the false information that people said. And also one point is that I would rather these dangerous ideas, so to say, to appear on social platforms and in ideas when there's a room for free discussion, than for these same dangerous ideas to be implemented from above by means of power, by a dictatorship.
Thank you, Malek. We've got Dominic.
Alright, so if you remember, I'm from Canada, and there's we've got very diverse ethnic culture, and I grew up with every ethnicity, every walk of life, so to speak. We've got legal abortion, same-sex marriage, super normal for me. Coming here for studies, I noticed complete culture shock. Not the case, and I see representations on certain parts of Poland. You have anti, LGBT signs. This part of Wrocław, I see the strike kobiet, the women's strikes, and for me that was really fascinating to see that people took it upon themselves, to protest, to fight. So on that note, speech encapsulates different activities, including speaking, writing, singing, acting, burning flags, yelling on the street corner, protest, as I mentioned, advertising, threatening your colleagues or friends or whoever, slander, and so on. Some of these forms of communication are more important than others, and hence require different levels of protection. For example, the freedom to criticize our government or any government is generally thought to be more important than the freedom of an artist. That's offending their audience. If two speech acts clash, for example, when yelling prevents a political speech that you don't agree with, or so to speak, a decision has to be made to prioritize one over the other, which means that this can never be a complete, unlimited right to free speech. Defending speech has many grounds in a democratic society. The general public needs a lot of info in order to make informed decisions. Another is that government is meant to be, so to say, a servant of the people. It should be not allowed to make or censor them at all. One reason to justify free speech on a political sense is important, but not for its own sake, but because it allows us to exercise another important value, which of course is democracy. Whatever reasons we offer to protect speech can also be used to show why some speech is not so special. Your opinion differs from mine, and so on and so forth. If speech is defended because it promotes autonomy, we no longer have grounds for protecting speech acts that undermine this value. If our defense of speech is that it is crucial to a well-functioning society, democracy, we have no reason to defend speech that is irrelevant to or undermines this goal. Sorry, I'm a little lost here. If we agree that speech should be protected because it leads to truth, there seems to be no reason to protect the speech of, so to speak, anti-vaxxers or creationists, for example. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dominic. Actually, the next part is going to be like that. I'm going to go like a clock and take everybody that never spoke and give them the right to have 2 minutes. So, of course, for example, we are starting with... Actually, no. Actually, who spoke already cannot speak now. Who never spoke, they can even say, okay, I have nothing to add. I'm not going to force anyone. I'm just giving you the space if you want to add something.
Can we have a small break?
We're going to have it in 5 minutes, so yes, after this part actually. You want to add something? Because you never spoke. So you have 2 minutes if you want. Okay.
Okay, so...
Your name once again?
Agnes.
Agnes.
Yeah. I'd like to add that our language is creating our reality, and of course we are living in different bubbles, and we have different culture and all the stuff background, and sometimes it can be difficult to communicate because what I want to say can be different taken from other people, and it's especially difficult when we consider it in written speech. I mean, we don't have full context, we don't have emotion, so it's easy harm other people this way. And of course, I believe that we never will be free because we have some regulation, we are living in society, and we should control government. And of course, we have some rules, and we should control each other. I mean, we people, government, and government somehow us, because in other way it will be not work, I think. So that's all.
Thank you, Agnes. Rod.
I will be very short this time. So free speech, yes. With limitation, yes. Because without limitations, we tend to become monsters. That's it.
That was actually short.
Yes.
I have to agree.
I promised short. Yes.
But thank you. And once again, your name?
Ricardo.
Ricardo.
Yes.
Okay.
I think words can be dangerous. They can have an impact that you cannot predict. I think there should be some regulation in the way to say that something that's a clearly lie should not be published or spread or made in a way that's reachable for a bigger amount of people. The problem comes when there is a gray area between an opinion and a fact. So with certain things that are not like completely, for example, vaccines or other topics that are not clearly defined if this is a fact or if this is opinion. And I think that's the most difficult part of putting any kind of regulation that could defend society, could prevent kind of major consequences. So I would advocate to create some sensitivity to don't prevent scientific life to spread. But if it's something that's not scientific, then I think it's quite hard to think about a system that would prevent somebody to post that something that's not and the majority of people don't agree. I think that's the difficult part of the
Thank you, Ricardo. Katarzyna.
Well, I think everyone had expressed really like important, and in every speech was some sort of like truth, and everyone has its own right. The only thing I wanted to add is that I think like free speech should be like everyone should have a right to have a free speech, and I think like all it comes like what is our perspective on what is good and not comes from like our values, which we I don't know, have from our home or from our like what we believe in, the religion and all the like cultural stuff. So we all have our own like system, values, what we see as like good and not good to say even to others.
Thank you. Iman?
Okay. Well, I hope I won't reiterate the same point, like everyone has already made, so if I would reiterate the same point, just forgive me, So, I mean, like, I have rather, an idiosyncratic take on it, because I feel that, like, when people say free speech, and then they talk about, like, control and limitations as well. So for me, it's, like, rather counterintuitive to say, like, free speech, because, and, like, also, like, under the garb of, like, free speech, people can, like, call for violence and, like, hurt other sentiments, like, other people's sentiments. So, I mean, in my opinion, there should be, like, there's no free speech, but, like, there's, like, a control and, like, controlled speech, in my opinion. That would be a better term, so,
Thank you, Iman. The last word to the winner, Dominic. You have to. It's Daniel. I'm sorry. It's the first time that I have you, so I'm sorry with my names. Daniel. Actually, it was your topic, so you're going to finish in just like 1 minute or a couple of sentences. And what did you get from the Philosophical Café? What was interesting in the discussion for you? And
it was my first time, and I found it very interesting. I didn't know there was a place like that. And you want me also like to make a conclusion, right? Like
there is no conclusion in philosophy, but your conclusion, yes, why not?
I think I didn't. Sometimes when we have a theory, sometimes we check it and we check if this is true or not. Some things are checked, for example, maybe you don't have to share this because those are like liberal ideas, so not everyone has to share them the same as me. But in liberal ideas, for example, in free market, there is the idea that everything is regulated, and nor is this kind of proof. So I think freedom of speech I didn't test it, but I think if there was some kind of way to test it, I think it would work. Like free speech is like in economy free market, it would kind of self-regulate itself. So as long as there is free speech, there is stupid ideas, but those stupid ideas are compensated, and also there is people that believe anything from different points of view. But my conclusion, I think, is that it would self-regulate itself. It's my opinion. You don't have to share it, but it's what I think. And I would, maybe someone one day could prove this to be true.
Who knows? Everybody stays with this opinion in the end, actually, but a lot of times we learn other points of view in those kind of situations. So now I'm going to give you a business card, not to anyone because I don't have enough, so I'm not going to give to the ones that I know better. So yes, basically that's the thing. I made new ones, so somebody of you already have the old one. What is my job? My job is a philosophical consultant, is the the ancestor of psychologists, if you want. You can consider me like a problem solver. I work with logics, so if anyone wants to try consulting, I was always giving one taste for free for people that attended philosophical cafes, but luckily I have enough customers, so now it's going to be just a discount, I'm sorry. So if you want to try with a discount, you can have a free business card. All of you actually, even if I'm not giving you a business card, it's just because I already know you, so. And Ola, no. Dorota, no. Ricardo, Victor, I know you. Maria, I know you. Katarzyna, and you, and yes, Mike, first time. So can you just give them to the people I don't know? Vincent, thank you. And you just pass them, and it's up there. You just keep Iman and Jan. And that's the fact. If you want to try to stay in touch or so on, is. Yes, you can try it, and that's it. And next thing we are going to do now is the picture with everybody inside, everybody that wants to be in the picture. And then we're going to go to the last phase. Okay, picture, pose, last phase, okay? And Victor, are you taking the picture?
Oh yeah, okay.
Thank you.